Oh, are you ready? Because we're ready. HD, you ready?
Are you ready?
Harry Douglas in the building. Jason Fitz doing his thing in Vegas. So we got Harry Douglas joining us now on the Kickoff presented by Ram Trucks, teeing you up for what is going to be an action-packed. We've pretty much made it to almost the middle of the college football season. We got a bunch of undefeateds. We got a bunch of fried food. By the way, this is a very caloric-dense episode of the Kickoff, so I'm actually glad Fitz isn't here because we're going to be able to share some of this because we're featuring what is going to be the Red River Rivalry, Oklahoma at Texas at the Texas State Fair, which is #1 on your bucket list, Harry Douglas.
Yes, it is. It's on my bucket list. I've been wanting to go to the Texas State Fair since I was a kid. And the bad thing about it is that I was just in Dallas for Monday Night Football and didn't realize the Texas State Fair was actually going on while I was attending that football game.
Listen, I'm going to tell you right now, as somebody who's been to the Texas State Fair back in 2017, it is absolutely a must-do whether you live in Texas or you make it a point to get out to the Dallas area come October for the fried food, for the festivities, for the football game that surrounds, obviously, the weekend. They got musical performances, everything that you could possibly want from a fair, the calories, the fat, the fried foods, the oil, it all goes down. As a matter of fact, we have a special request.
I have one. You know what I want from the fair?
Hit me.
I want a funnel cake with, like, hot apples on top of it. That's what I want.
I think that they presented, that's like so standard. That's like super basic for
Well, don't
them.
kill my dreams.
Hey, listen, if it's your first time, you can go with the standard funnel cake. But, like, we replicated some of the fried foods that they're going to be featuring down there this weekend. Obviously, deep-fried Oreos, deep-fried meatballs, fried pineapple,
yes,
deep-fried corn dogs. And you say you actually whip some of this stuff up. A lot of people don't know, but you go by Chef HD. You cook this stuff up at the crib.
Chef HD. I make these deep-fried Oreos for my wife and my kids all the time. My wife gets upset because my kids don't want to eat dinner. They want to eat daddy's deep-fried Oreos.
We're going to try some of this throughout the course of the show. Obviously, the food's going to be great. The football's going to be fantastic. Not just in the DFW area, obviously. Oklahoma and Texas kicking off at the Cotton Bowl tomorrow for the Red River Rivalry. But let's actually welcome in now Marty Smith, joining us from, I believe, Lexington, Kentucky, where the undefeated 16th-ranked Kentucky Wildcats are welcoming in LSU. Marty, I'm glad that you've decided to join the show because your partner in crime, Ryan McGee, is scared on Twitter about food delivering robots. So we appreciate you being able to carve out some time with us on the Kickoff. How you doing, my friend?
He's not alone, man. I was getting ready to cross the crosswalk over by our SEC network office just a few minutes ago, and there was a food delivery robot waiting at the crosswalk. And I just sat there and stared at it. I don't like the fact that we are charging our robots with all of this human things that need to be done because it's going to be Rise of the Robots, dude. We're going to regret it. I'm telling you.
It is. Hey, listen, I'm with you.
Did you see them dancing at halftime in the Missouri game last weekend?
I do, man.
It's terrifying.
Listen, they're well ahead of us, but it's the supply that's meeting the demand. We want stuff automated, right at our fingertips. And listen, somebody's making it for us. So, Marty, let's dive into actually not this game in specific, but one that we revisited last week. It was Bryce Young versus Ole Miss, and we were going to see just how he would step up to the plate in one of those big games. Obviously, Bama got it done, and now they're looking to go 25-0 is head coach Nick Saban against former assistants, 4-0 currently against Jimbo Fisher. They're at College Station. So how can Bryce Young impress you even more as the Tide undefeated and they are exactly who we thought they were going into this season?
It's hard to do. He's an extremely hard worker. He's an extremely cerebral player. You know, he's the highest-rated quarterback recruit the program's ever had, and he's living up to every bit of it. It's really fun to watch. And if you talk to his coaches, they marvel at how much he watches tape, how hard he works, how willing he is to do everything possible to maximize his God-given ability, which is obviously very high. And he's got this thing down. You know, I thought last week was going to be a big stage for him. We expected a ton of points. The previous year, these two teams had Ole Miss and Alabama combined for nearly 1,400 yards of offense. So we thought, well, Matt Corral has another year. He's playing at a high level. Going into that game, he was the Heisman Trophy candidate, favorite, and he flat got outplayed by Bryce Young. Bryce played extremely well. And he's going to do it again this weekend against Texas A&M and just continue that march. So it is very fun to watch. He's a very good player. Roman Harper, my colleague at SEC Network, had a great sit-down interview with Bryce last weekend. His poise, his composure, he just has the total package. So he's just going to continue in Bill O'Brien's offense to excel and to grow and expand his skill set. And, I mean, I just don't know what the ceiling for this young man is. He's an extremely good player.
Now, Marty, let's take a game down in Dallas, Texas right now. The state of Texas where, you know, people love to eat food. But we look at this game, the Red River showdown between Texas and Oklahoma. Another Heisman candidate, Spencer Rattler. Is this an opportunity for him to have a coming out party and gain some ground on Bryce Young?
He's going to have to. Oklahoma just, to me, hasn't looked very impressive. And if they're going to beat Texas, which is looking more impressive by the week, he's going to have to play extremely well and really hone in what they want to do offensively with Lincoln Riley's amazing system. They're up-tempo, a lot of RPO, and Rattler has a great skill set. We all know that. We expected him to have a year that was historic, and he just hasn't done it. So it's going to be fun to see what he does. It's going to be interesting to see how he attacks that defense for Texas. But this is going to be a very difficult challenge for Oklahoma. Texas is playing a lot better since they got beaten on the road at Arkansas. Sark is starting to put it together, and you can feel the juice. This is going to be a really good football game. And if Oklahoma's going to win it and continue that march toward the college football playoff, Rattler's got to he's got to be the guy. He's got to put him on his shoulders, and he's got to be the guy.
Marty, I want to hop into the Heisman conversation. I know it revolves always. You just saw the panel. The top 5 guys by odds are all quarterback, but I think that an argument could be made about the eyes of the football world, specifically as it relates to that award, being focused on Texas running back Bijan Robinson, who's absolutely running away with it. I know Harry loves him. I know you love him. I want to start with Harry as to why that is the player to watch in this particular matchup, Harry.
Well, when you look at Bijan Robinson, he's a guy who can do it rushing the football, but at the same time, like we've seen Najee Harris at Alabama, he's a guy that can do it catching the football out of the backfield as well. And I think this is a game that he wants to actually show everybody that, hey, we're not just going to list quarterbacks when it comes to this Heisman Trophy candidacy. Running backs can do this thing as well. He has Steve Sarkisian, like I just mentioned, who had Najee Harris, who used him in a multiplicity of different ways. So he's a guy that I think that can make a lot of noise and have a good showing and put his name in that Heisman race as well.
Marty, it's not going to be very often, though, that he gets 30-some-odd touches and rushes for north of 200 yards, which he did last week in a win against TCU. But, I mean, he's on that trajectory, right? Starting to be in that conversation more frequently.
The highest compliment I could pay him is that watching him on tape, he reminds me of Christian McCaffrey. And wow. I know that's extremely lofty as a comparison, but he just has that kind of skill set where he's such a such a multitude of talents. As Harry was saying, he can catch the ball well, he blocks well, and he runs the hell out of the thing. So I feel like with that skill set, Sark is really starting to hone in how to best use Bijan. And you're right, he should be a Heisman candidate, but with what Bryce Young is doing, I mean, right now he's the guy.
Marty, I don't mean to exaggerate when we talk about specific players or group of units or coaches, but I don't think at this point it's starting to become a stretch as we shift focus back to the SEC. We got Georgia, we got Auburn. Talking about Georgia's defense specifically being one of the best defenses we have seen all time in some time. Am I crazy for saying that? Am I crazy for even lofting that up there?
They're amazing. They have pro dudes everywhere. They got 350-pound guys running sideline to sideline. It's just it's a group, it's a unit with a skill set you just don't see at the college level that often. And that's why they're going to go really far. I mean, if you ask a lot of people at our company, they'll tell you that they think Georgia's the best team in the country. And what they did last week offensively against Arkansas blew my mind. I did not expect it. I thought it was going to be a defensive battle because of what Barry Odom and that Arkansas defense have done to really good offenses throughout this season. But, I mean, they put up 37 points, I think it was. And so it was really impressive what Georgia did. And as they start to really dial in what they want to be offensively, they could be really dangerous because defensively they're the best team in America.
I mean, you just saw that graphic real quick as Harry's about to tee you up with another question, but they've allowed 23 points all season through 5 games. That is ridiculous. So national championship or bust.
More touchdowns than they've given up.
Wow. I mean, another insane stat.
It's really remarkable what they're doing. It's not especially surprising to me because Kirby Smart is a defensive guy. He loves that hard-nosed type of philosophy and program and culture, and they also have elite athletes everywhere. So as we look down the line, it's hard to do it. We're only 5 weeks into the season. This is week 6, so it's hard to prognosticate all the way down the line. But if we get to the SEC championship in December and it's roll tide and go Dogs, hey, buckle up, boys. It's going to be an all-timer.
Now, Marty, you're in Lexington, Kentucky, where the 16th-ranked Wildcats will face the LSU Tigers. Now, quarterback Will Levis, in his weird banana-eating style. Can he lead this Wildcats team to a victory over LSU for an undefeated matchup next week against the Georgia Bulldogs?
He absolutely can. I believe that. Now, Willie, I don't know. I just have a feeling about LSU with all of the rumors that are surrounding Coach Orgeron now. Is he the guy anymore? Should he be replaced? He can't. They're not living up to expectation. All of those things. So it amazes me, the Southeastern Conference, it's a 3-year league, guys. If you don't win in 3 years, for the most part, you're out of here. I mean, Coach O won the national title 2 years ago with one of the greatest assemblages of talent in college football history. They have 15 pro dudes on that team. They had coordinators that went on to huge jobs. Dave Aranda's the head coach at Baylor now, and Steve Ensminger obviously was a great offensive coordinator then, and it's unbelievable what they did then. Now, 2 years later, it ain't good enough. And so here's this chorus of he's got to go. Well, this is a big game for him. LSU needs to win this game, and I think he's going to be able to preach that to his team. He's going to be able to let them understand the magnitude of this game, and it's going to be a really good one. This game has more juice than people realize. And again, like Kentucky hasn't started 6-0 since 1950. 1950. And they have the opportunity to do that here tomorrow night.
Marty, like they say, what have you done for me lately?
Yeah.
That's the deal.
It's really
down there in
unbelievable,
Baton Rouge.
Harry. I mean, to me, it's the Saban effect. What Coach Saban has built in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, with the sustained excellence, despite all of the coaching turnover constantly, they've never had coaching continuity during his tenure there. Guys go on to bigger jobs, they get head coaching jobs, and they're gone. But yet, they continue to sustain the standard by which every other program in the country is measured. And as a result, what happens for other SEC programs is you win in a couple of years or you're gone. Let's bring it back to Kentucky for a second. What Mark Stoops has done here at Kentucky, what did the administration give Mark Stoops that most SEC coaches do not get? Our most precious resource, time. They gave him time, and he's built a great program, and he's built it in his own image. They are very tough. They play hard, they play fast, and it's taken time. Most of the time in this conference, you don't get any time. I mean, I was talking to Shane Beamer at South Carolina just a couple of weeks ago, and he knows if I don't win in a couple of years, I'm probably gone. It's just the way that it works in this conference.
Marty Smith joining us on the Kickoff. Marty, I would love to sit here and chop it up with you for the next 30 minutes, but I know you are a man who's very busy and very wanted, so we're going to go ahead and let you go. Just watch out for that food delivery robot, because I think I see one right behind you. Watch out, Marty.
I'm scared. I heard Harry talking about that funnel cake he wants with that apple turnover on top. Yeah. I hear you, bro.
Go ahead and order one. Yeah, go ahead and order one. Let the robot deliver it to you. Marty Smith, man, joining us on the Kickoff. Marty, thanks so much, my friend.
Cheers, fellas.
All right, now. All right, so that was obviously Marty joining us from Lexington, Kentucky. Listen, Will Levis, not for nothing, too. A Connecticut quarterback got those Wildcats undefeated and a potential undefeated matchup against Georgia next week. All right, as we transition now, it's time to take a look at our Built for Success presented by Ram Trucks. And this is actually a program, HD, that you have been high on for a very, very long time. And it's about now that they're starting to get big-time national recognition. We're talking about the number 11th ranked Michigan State Spartans, 5-0 right now, and you're loving what Mel Tucker is doing with that program in just his second season, his first full season in East Lansing.
Yeah, first things first, I love what this offensive line is doing for running back Kenneth Walker Jr., a transfer from Wake Forest. He is the leading rusher right now in college football. Not only that, quarterback Peyton Thorne, throwing the football over 1,200 yards right now, completing 63% of his passes, 11 touchdowns, 1 interception. But he has a favorite target that he went to high school with, not just high school, but middle school, and Jaden Reed. That's his guy. He has Naylor. They have playmakers all over the place. They're averaging in the 30s right now when it comes to points. But defensively, they are 5th in sacks with 19 on the year. So they're getting it done, not just offensively, but on defense and on special teams as well.
So here's the thing, and are you pretty surprised? Because basically he did everything building his offense through the transfer portal, right?
Yeah,
you mentioned Jaden, who leads the nation in all-purpose yards, and the running back leads the nation in rushing yards. So the way they've been able to piecemeal this together, and not just, okay, let's trot this team out there and hopefully we get a win on Saturday, but to the effectiveness that you're talking about, we're talking about their offense. Mel Tucker, his whole career has been built on defense and what this guy can do defensively and scheme up defensively. And that's the second-tier storyline we're talking about from Sparty.
And it's funny because everyone's talking about Ohio State. Everybody's talking about Michigan. Everybody's talking about Iowa and Penn State. Well, guess who's just sitting back at number 11 just waiting their turn? Michigan State.
Sure.
They win this game today. They have another one, and in 2 weeks, they have the Michigan Wolverines, and that's going to be a big showdown. So look for them to be undefeated in that matchup. So I'm high on this Michigan State football team right now.
So before we leapfrog to 2 weeks, which is going to be the showdown against, of course, currently undefeated Michigan, who, by the way, Mel Tucker only won 2 games last season in that condensed season. They went 2-5, but the most important part of that 2-5 was in week 2 last season, they knocked off Michigan. So listen, if you're going to win 2 games in a 7-game condensed season last year, make sure you beat Michigan as we take a look at their schedule as it sits this season. And it was right about week 3 when they went into number 24 ranked Miami and knocked them off on the road, because there was a lot of talk, all right, and Jason Fitz was sitting right there. Hey, I'm high on Michigan State. We're not talking enough about Michigan State in week 3. And they go ahead and get the win. So what do you expect when they take on Rutgers, 3-2, 2-game losing streak, setting them up for that potential undefeated v. undefeated showdown against Harbaugh and his Wolverines?
Well, first of all, you can't have a letdown. Greg Schiano coach team is going to play hard. They're going to be physical. They're going to play to the whistle. Don't have a letdown, and you can do great things at Michigan State this year.
Okay, fantastic. So obviously, big-time things coming out of East Lansing and that Spartan program. So a game that we're looking forward to this weekend as we also kind of leapfrog into 2 weeks when they take on Michigan. But another game that not enough people are talking about, HD, I don't really know how to surmise what we are going to see from these 2 powerhouses. We're not going to be able to do it justice with our words. So just take a look at this.
UMass's numbers a year ago were not good in any way, shape, or form on both sides of the ball.
That was a heartbreaker to see.
That was USC-like with that.
Both think they can win the game.
Right, and need a win desperately.
Oh man, I'm kind of dreading this next 3 minutes because our producer just said, hey, we got 3 minutes coming out of this sizzle reel to talk about UConn versus UMass.
Who?
One of these teams.
Who?
HD, exactly. One of these teams are going to get their first win in a long time. Let me just make sure I get these losing streaks correct. UConn, 10 straight losses. UMass, 16 straight losses. First game in AP poll era, 1936 between 2 teams with those long of losing streaks. So, like, the face says it all. As a player going into this game, why? Like, what's the mindset? You know this might be your best chance at a dub.
Oh,
in
yeah.
how long?
Well, you know what? I'm going to be the coach for a second.
Okay.
Come on, guys. This is our only chance this year to get a victory. This is our only chance this year to get a victory. Please don't screw it up. We screwed everything else up this year. Please, this one game that we have an opportunity to win, please don't screw it up for us.
And then as a player, let's say as an upperclassman, you haven't sniffed a win in how long, right? Like what do you do mentality-wise to kind of get up for another game and potentially another letdown?
Well, first I'll say this. If you have any bits of pride amongst yourself for this game, you don't need anybody or anything to get you up. You should already be in that state of mind. And if you're an upperclassman, you tell those young guys, listen, I want to go out here at least with one victory. Let's get one. Can I go out of here with at least one victory, Gary? Just one at least, please.
Just get me
Just one.
You saw those rankings out of 130 FBS teams, so this is truly a battle in futility. So, of course, these two teams struggling to win. We're actually going to be joined by a guy right now who's done a little bit of winning this season. All right, so here's the thing. If you throw it, the man on your screen will catch it. We're talking about junior wideout for USC, leads the nation in dang near everything. We're talking to Drake London, captain of the Trojan football team, joining us right now on the Kickoff. Drake, thanks so much for joining us to chop it up for a couple of minutes. How you doing out there?
Good. Thank you for having me. I'm doing great.
Of course. I'm going to dive right into it because you lead the nation in receptions, dang near 50, and receiving yards, and probably you also lead the nation in amount of times people say, we got London on the track every single time you're walking around campus. And before we preview your guys' game under the lights with Utah tomorrow, I want to revisit two catches that you had last week against Colorado. You take us through them and which one you liked the most. One you had right there at the goal line. You went up with that 6'5" frame and you brought the rock down. And then the other one was the one-handed catch in the end zone. I have a feeling I know which one you're going to choose because you posted one on Instagram. But take us through those two catches.
I think that one, I don't know. The goal might have to be my favorite because I just levitated and I got the ball and it was something like a basketball rebound. But that goal line one was definitely special to me. It was just one of those plays that your body takes over and you kind of just let your body do whatever it does and let your natural athleticism come out.
I mean, how easy is it? And Harry's going to hop in here because he knows what it's like catching footballs at the highest level. But you're 6'5", 210, so naturally you just have this gigantic shield from the defender that has to make it that much easier, right?
Yes, sir. I mean, it does make it easier. It does make it a little tough at sometimes, but I would say it makes it easier.
Harry, can you do that?
Oh, not like Drake. You know, he a little bigger than me. I was one of those little peewee wide receivers, man. I was a small guy. But Drake, listen, man, a former USC quarterback, Carson Palmer, actually said that you could be the next Megatron. Those are high praises, right? When you're coming from USC, when you look at USC the last 10 years, you guys have been spitting out wide receivers left and right. Do you see that in your arsenal, in your game, the next Megatron?
You know, Megatron was one of the players that I grew up watching. That's actually why I'm a Detroit Lions fan, you know. So that comparison is something surreal, and that's big shoes to fill. I feel like I could be something like him, but I think he's in a different category of his own.
Drake, I got to ask you, man, because you start hearing these things, and obviously you're on a lot of big boards as far as somebody who is going to be playing on Sundays one day, but you hear a comparison like that. Is it pressure? Is it praise? Is it something you have to aspire to be? Is it a little bit like, oh, man, they're already comparing me to one of the greats. This dude just got his Hall of Fame jacket. Like, what? Take us through the process of, you know, being a junior in college and already having that sort of praise heaped upon you.
I think it's something surreal, you know. I think it also it humbles me and wants me to go get more. I mean, if they're already saying that now, the next level, I don't know what's possible. So I'm just going to keep on working and try to get to that level.
Now, Drake, you a basketballer at heart, man. And I think we share a little ties here because your head coach at USC, Andy Enfield, actually coached my brother as an assistant at Florida State. But playing basketball for USC for 2 years, what have you taken from basketball that helps you on the football field, my man?
I've just taken the rebounding that comes from basketball, you know, going up against guys who are like 6'8", 7 foot at times and trying to get rebounds against them has helped me a lot with jump ball situations, crossing over for my releases. I mean, there's a plethora of things that basketball brings into football.
But we must know, the people must know, what made you choose football over basketball? Because you're in the sunshine, you're hot, you're sweaty, you have a lot of physical play. But when you're playing basketball, you're indoors, man. You have air conditioning. What made you choose football over basketball?
I had this opportunity that I didn't have in basketball at the time, and I think I needed to go chase my dreams, and that's what I ended up doing.
Hey, Drake, we got a couple pieces of footage of you obviously doing work on the football field, but how about here on the basketball field? You talk about, or basketball court rather, you talk about using that 6'5" frame, whether it's rebounding, or how about these dunks that we're watching from you right here? This is not normal.
Oh, that boy got hops.
That ain't normal, HD.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. I think I was like 15 at the time.
A long time ago. You're 20 right now.
I don't know what's in the water, but Drake, can you send me some so I can give it to my son?
Yes, sir. I'll send you some.
Hey, Drake, wanted to get you out on this. Obviously, you guys sitting at 3-2, on the outside of that top 25 picture. But obviously, with the schedule that you guys have remaining, there are opportunities for some signature ranked wins. After you guys potentially take care of business against Utah, you sort of have that Notre Dame game looming. So what's it got to take for you guys to get back into that national conversation these next couple of weeks?
I think we just have to win games, and when we win games, we have to dominate. And I think that's pretty much it.
Last thing I got for you, man. Your name is Drake London. At some point, with the NIL deal stuff going on, you need to hit up Drake and let him know that you want to board Ed Drake so he can send you to London. I'm going to send you off like that, my man.
I appreciate it.
Hey, Drake, if you need any sort of counsel, HD is available for hire. But before we worry about that, man, take care of business against Utah tomorrow under the lights. We appreciate you joining us on the kickoff, and best of luck going forward for the rest of the season, my man. Thank you.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, little West Coast affair under the lights for Drake London and his USC Trojans. How about the rest of the AP college football poll? Obviously, it's Bama at Texas A&M. It's Georgia at Auburn. And then the matchup that everybody should be paying attention to is a top fiver from the Big Ten, as number 3 Iowa hosts number 4 Penn State. Listen, we got a lot of parity this season in college football. And let's focus now on what's going down in Iowa City. We have this elaborate, I told you, it was a calorically dense show today on the kickoff, and I want to make sure that I get these correct, so I'm going to read this right here. There's a bit of a wager, because in both Pennsylvania and Iowa, there are towns called Altoona. So those two towns have a wager going with one another. Here's the deal. If Iowa wins, Altoona, Pennsylvania will send their world-famous Mallow Cups made by Boyer Candy. We've eaten plenty of them. They are delicious. So shout out Mallow Cups and Boyer Candy for hooking us up on the kickoff. If Penn State wins, this is a little bit of a lopsided wager here.
100%.
Iowa will send these 40-ounce tomahawk steaks from the Big Steer, which was named the best steakhouse in Iowa by MSN.com in 2016. So a huge shout out to both Boyer Candy and the Big Steer for hooking us up with exactly what either or town will win if their football team wins. So here's the thing.
Talk to me.
Chef HD.
Talk to me.
Emphasis on the chef. We have this beautiful 40-ounce tomahawk that you, before we started the show, went back in the ESPN kitchen and whipped up. So I think we're going to see how that all went down right now.
Welcome to Cooking with Chef HD, and today we have some marvelous, wonderful tomahawk steaks from the Big Steer restaurant in Iowa. Now, this is just one half of the bet, but my job is to show y'all how to prepare a steak the right way, Chef HD's way. Now, the first thing we're gonna do, we have to massage and cover this wonderful steak that we have here with some olive oil. So let's pour a little olive oil on there. We're just gonna pour a little bit on there. Yes, get on out of there now. Now, as we pour that olive oil on there, the next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna massage it, right? We're gonna massage this steak. You wanna massage it, yes. You wanna massage it just like you're getting a soft tissue massage, right? You make sure it's all covered, and you flip it over. Yes, yes. The next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna flip it back over. Now, we're gonna take our salt, and we're gonna throw some salt on that thing. Right, throw some salt. Yes, we got some good old salt there. Now, the next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna throw some pepper on there. Yes, got some pepper. Next thing we're gonna put some garlic powder on there. Good old garlic powder. Yeah, it's gonna give it a nice little flavor. Boom, 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 boom. Now, we're gonna flip it over. We're gonna do the same thing over again. Never forget your garlic powder. Now that we got this steak all seasoned up, we're gonna throw this bad boy on the grill along with his brothers and sisters and see what it tastes like. Chef HD, signing out. Peace.
Chef HD, I also love how you like a little bit of garlic powder. You use the whole bottle.
Hey, man. Hey, the most important thing, right? When people eat food, when you taste the food, you don't want it tasting like water.
Okay.
And what does water taste like?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Okay.
So that's why you got to make sure this steak is seasoned the proper way. The proper way.
You brought the apron. You brought the
Everything,
chef hat.
man.
Dude.
You know how I do.
And I know
You know how I do.
I know how you do it, which is why when you told me how you like your steak, I was taken aback. I was flabbergasted.
So don't tell stories on this show.
Hey,
That's
listen.
what you better not do. Don't you tell.
He said he liked his steak well done.
No, I did not. No, I did not.
I'm gonna try
I am
this.
a medium well guy. I'm going to graduate myself to medium. Give me about another year. I'm no longer a well done guy. I'm a medium well guy. In about a year, I'll be just a medium guy.
I said 6 minutes on each side, and you looked at
And
me
I almost
like,
threw up.
You
I
looked at me like I was speaking a
asked you,
foreign language.
were you a part of the jungle? Did you live in the jungle? Were you a lion going to catch food, going to catch some prey?
How you like that?
Hey, that's good right
Hey,
there.
take a look at this. All right. That's a nice,
Hey,
you know what? I'll give you medium on that. Let me try this out.
But you got to throw it in a little sauce.
Of course.
Check this
Hold on.
out right here.
Oh, yeah. Also,
Oh, my God.
I know we're talking about Iowa-Penn State
Wait
and the
till you
food.
taste it.
What about the actual matchup here? I like Iowa at home, but we're really talking about two astute teams in general, but a fantastic matchup defensively here.
Well, I'll say when you look at Iowa, you look at what they've been able to do this year in college football, creating turnovers. I think that's what their team thrives on, forcing the opponent to make mistakes. When you look at Penn State, when you look at Iowa, Iowa has not passed the football, I'll say, very well this year. Their quarterback, Peters, he doesn't even have 1,000 yards passing. Force them to make him beat you with his arm if you're Penn State. Defensive end, Arnold, I got to say his name right, Ibakitai.
Nailed it.
That young man is going to be playing on Sundays. He is a game changer, a game wrecker. Linebacker Ellis Brooks, he has to play well for Penn State as well. But the leading receivers this year for Iowa Hawkeyes offensively is a running back and a tight end. Force Peters, the quarterback for Iowa, to beat you with his arm, and I think you'll have success.
But here's the thing. A lot of people, when you talk about this Iowa team, they know that the offense isn't the strong point. It is, to your point, the defense, who sits back, 12 interceptions so far this season. They're undefeated, the third-ranked team in the country, and they have some pretty big wins. They are built to sort of stand the test of time. So whether it's Sean Clifford dropping back there trying to hook up with Dotson, their leading receiver, I mean, who do you see here as just pound for pound stronger in those categories, specifically defensively, as we take a look at what this defensive battle and how it actually breaks down? Iowa with the advantage here stat-wise.
Well, Iowa stat-wise is the better defense, but I think the better athletes are at Penn State.
Okay,
Right? That's
valid.
why it's very important for Sean Clifford in this football game to take care of the football, because Iowa thrives off those turnovers, right? You look at this team for Iowa last week against Maryland. They created, I think, 7 turnovers, 5 interceptions by Talia Tagovailoa. If you're Sean Clifford, you can't do that. They must do it with the run game as well. Sean Clifford has to use his leg. Noah Cain and Lee, those guys have to get going. Jahan Dotson, one player in this game I'm not worried about. He's a certified baller, Gary.
He's going to get hit.
And guess what position he plays?
Like, of course. Hey, listen.
What position
it's
does
the
he
money
play?
position, baby.
What
It's the
position does he
money
play,
position.
Gary?
Just throw me the rock.
What position does he play, Gary?
I think I don't need to
He
tell
plays
him.
wide receiver, Gary.
I don't need to tell him.
He plays wide receiver.
I don't need to tell him. Okay, bigger picture here, because this is the first time that the Big Ten has a top 5 matchup with teams not named Ohio State, not named Michigan.
Correct.
So as we talk about sort of that parity that we're seeing, not just in the Big Ten, but across the country, minus Alabama, what do you think this does for the Big Ten and their status as a whole when we're starting to talk about that college football playoff picture?
Well, I think it's huge. And you look at the Big Ten right now with so many teams ranked in the top 11, they can make an argument like the SEC.
True.
Okay, if things go wrong in the Big 12, and we already seen Oregon lose last week in the Pac-12, the Big Ten has an opportunity, in my eyes, to get 2 teams. Well, how many teams are playing, but they just can't knock each other off.
Unfortunately, they're all sitting in the Big Ten East, right? You got Penn State, you got Iowa, you got Michigan State. You talk about all of those teams ranked in the top 11. I mean, it's going to have
who has the best path right now in my eyes in the Big Ten is Iowa, because if they get past this game right here against Penn State, the rest of it is cupcake until you get to the Big Ten championship.
Talk about cupcakes.
But listen, do me a favor. Taste that steak and tell me what it tastes like, man. Yeah, talk to me.
Hey, bro.
Talk to him. Talk to him. Talk to him,
Chef,
baby.
I can't talk. My mouth is
You
full.
talk to him, Gary.
Chef HD. That's banging. Wait a minute. Did I get your pick? Iowa, Penn State. Who you got?
I'm going Penn State, baby.
Ooh, really?
I'm going
Okay,
Penn
so
State.
you gassing up Iowa this whole time.
What's that wide receiver over there again? What's his
Jahan
name?
Dotson. What position he play?
Wide receiver. Wide receiver.
I'm going to try to do this as eloquently as possible as I have a mouthful of food. Thank you to the Big Steer. Thank you for Boyer Candy for hooking us up with this. Chef HD, Harry Douglas, hanging out with us this week on the Kickoff presented by Ram Trucks. Enjoy this stacked week of college football all weekend. Enjoy the food, the fried festivities, and maybe next year, we're going to go to the Texas State Fair, HD.
Woo. I would like that.
Yeah, you don't have to do any cooking, just eating.
I would like that.
Yeah, that's fine. Fitz, we didn't miss you.